The Commissioner of Police unsurprised by the country's increasing murder rate. This as a Nassau village man is shot and killed in a drive-by. The Prime Minister says China Exim Bank will provide funding for Baha, and Jubilee Garden residents upset over continued smoke from the city dump. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NV12 starts right now. Happy news tonight. Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade told reporters today he's not surprised the country's murder count has increased to its current level. He said he warned this could happen months ago if certain things didn't change. In the wake of a spree of murders, a visibly upset commissioner explained why crime has gotten the way it is and what needs to be done to fix it. Kyle Joaquin reports.
I'll tell you, I'm not surprised, despite our best intentions. I foreshadowed this many months ago when I gave you an interview and I said, if we do not change our trajectory, not the police department, but if we didn't change generally as a country, look at some policy issues, some legislative reforms issues, and some other initiatives, we were going to continue to have problems.
Commissioner Greenslade said the murder figures are up to the point where the police force is very disturbed and very concerned. With the murder count now past 130, the Commissioner, the Prime Minister, and the Minister of National Security sat around a table on Monday to outline new initiatives in the crime fight. And today, following another murder in the capital, Greenslade dispatched dozens of heavily armed officers onto the streets. While he understands some may criticize the operation, Greenslade was unapologetic.
We've been sending our teams all year, and I get very, very insulted by people saying silly things like that. Every Bahamian who means well and who's on the side of law and order is aware that every single day for this entire year, and since I became commissioner, we've had our children, our officers, your children, your family, on the front lines of this country working hard. We could not give you 350 illegal weapons. We could not take the thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of dope off the streets. We could not arrest people for human trafficking. We could not do the things that we've done progressively and successfully in this country if we weren't on the front line 24/7 every day.
Just last week, a fourth-grade teacher was murdered as she drove her car, leaving police to believe it was a random act of violence. The commissioner admitted that the level of fear in the country has risen.
The fear index, certainly up. It has to be up for the same reasons I've told you. A person in the community uses an illegal firearm, fires shots at people, seriously injured or kills someone, is arrested. The matter is public knowledge. The community is upset and frightened by it, and that person goes into the system. If that community sees that same person back out among them, walking around freely, what do you expect to happen with fear?
As for the presence of gangs and their contribution to the high murder rate, Greenslade said no gang deserves recognition. And as for high-powered weapons being on the streets, the commissioner says theirs are more powerful.
Whatever weapons are on the streets, we have outmatched them. I'm going to say it again, for fear that the public don't understand. Whatever weapons are on the streets of New Providence or anywhere in the Bahamas this morning, we have outmatched them. We're going to stay there for as long as it takes.
Greenslade said he doesn't want to use anyone as a scapegoat, but that there are things that need to be fixed, like repeat offenders being granted bail. The commissioner said it's something he's been fighting to have changed for quite some time.
There is, as I've said to you from 2010, a core group of serious, prolific offenders who have continued to commit egregious crimes in this community, in our communities. We've arrested them until we're blue in the face. And for the life of me, it is very disconcerting that weeks subsequent to arrest for serious matters, we have to arrest these same people again.
Prime Minister Christie has said that the government would announce a new crime-fighting measure that could impact people's freedom of movement. When asked for clarification as to just what that meant, Greenslade didn't go into any detail.
I am very encouraged that we have had a very good discussion. We've looked at a lot of issues that we know are confronting us in a negative way in the country, and all of that is not just law enforcement. has to do with a lot of other things. But out of respect for the Prime Minister and my Minister, I do not want to preempt those comments. Once they would have spoken, I'm more than happy to speak again.
Now again, the Commissioner didn't go into too much detail about his meeting with the Prime Minister or the Minister of National Security about their new crime-fighting plan, but he did say the Prime Minister should be making an announcement sometime soon. Reporting from the police headquarters for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, the Commissioner spoke to the media this afternoon in the wake of the country's latest murder in Nassau Village, where a man was killed in a drive-by shooting. According to Superintendent B.K. Bonamy, the victim was walking on Butler Street when two men in an SUV approached him and opened fire. At the scene, police met the victim face down on the side of the road. But before that, Bonamy said police were called to the scene of a shooting in Pinewood Gardens.
Shortly around 11 a.m. this morning, we received reports of gunshot being heard in the Willow Tree Pinewood Garden area. Officers responded and discovered that the house was shot at. Shortly afterwards, we received another report of a male being shot here at Butler Street, Nassau Village. Again, officers responded and discovered the lifeless body of a male. This male had some multiple gunshot wounds to the upper body. The only information we have this far is that a gray Jeep pulled up as he was walking and opened fire on him.
A woman at the scene who said she's the mother of the victim's 2-year-old son identified him as 22-year-old Ricky Charlton. She broke down into tears as police placed him in the hearse. Another woman who screamed out that the victim was her son attempted to approach Charlton's body several times. And as police and other residents watched, she cried out, "Why God?" Bonamy said police are currently investigating both scenes to determine if there is a connection between the two incidents. He added no one was injured at the home in Pinewood Gardens.
We're still trying to investigate that. Like I said, we have officers on both scenes. So as soon as we get any further update, you will be informed.
Was anyone injured at Village Street?
No, no one is injured at the first incident.
Do you suspect that this Jeep went there first?
We cannot suspect. We want to investigate and see what that takes us.
At Nassau Village, dozens of residents crowded the scene as police photographed the 25 spent shell casings in the street. And as police continued to process the scene, officers clad in bulletproof vests and armed with rifles and machine guns combed the streets, stopping passing motorists. Bonamy said police plan to be in the area for a while and appealed to anyone with information about the incidents to come forward.
We want to appeal to members of the public who live in the area or might have heard or seen anything to please contact us that could assist us in this investigation. We will stay in this area for the time being, along with our officers, to see exactly what's going to take place.
Prime Minister Perry Christie has shared some promising news about continued funding for the stagnant multi-billion-dollar Baha resort. He told the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants that his ongoing talks with the project's financer has resulted in a promise for interim funding, which should help the resort along until an investor is found.
And I can say that the bank needs to finance this interim stage, and they have given me the assurance that in the shortest possible time from now, they will provide that interim funding. So things are good, so to speak.
Christie said he made it clear to the project's principals that restarting the project is critical, as Standard & Poor's has already downgraded the country's sovereign credit rating based on Bahamar's legal woes. And Moody's may soon follow suit if the resort is not completed and opened.
I told them that Standard & Poor's had downgraded the Bahamas as a result of their interpretation of events here. Moody's didn't. But that if we didn't work quickly and effectively, Moody's may have a different look. So it is critical for our country what is taking place, and you are the accountants who are managing the process.
As for a possible investor, Christie reiterated that interested parties would be in the country this week, and that, he said, will bode well for investor confidence in the country.
So we're optimistic. And one thing that I can say is that when one is looking for confidence and whether it exists in the Bahamas, the response to the possible availability of these premises have demonstrated to me that the world is interested.
The promoters of the Caribbean Music Festival are initiating legal action in the United States against suppliers who they claim defaulted on undertakings to supply stage and sound equipment, ultimately forcing the postponement of two of the festival's 4 events. Promoters are demanding the return of funds, claiming the failure to supply vital equipment was the primary cause of the postponement of the final 2 events of the festival. Caribbean Music Festival attendees were left disappointed last month after the much-anticipated event was postponed. In a statement, organizers said the remainder of the festival was put off because of insurmountable logistical difficulties. In the statement, festival organizers assured the public that full restitution will be made on ticket purchases, and vendors will be refunded fees paid, and all contractual obligations will be met. You're watching the best in Bahamian news. There's more when MB12 returns.